Welcome back to The Line. New Mexicans are preparing for the upcoming fire season more intentionally than they were 20 or 30 years ago before coming to terms with the realities of climate change. That's according to a recent article in the Santa Fe New Mexican. They also report that Santa Fe County is already planning to start fire restrictions in April, including prohibiting open burning, campfires, littering on public roadways with smoking materials, and the like. The state has no fire restrictions as of yet, but counties, towns, and cities can implement their own through local leadership. And Dan, you know, we've talked about this at this table quite a number of times. You've got an interesting experience I want you to talk about in where you grew up in southern part of the state, the difference between ground brush, where you find it and where you don't find it. But we've got an odd and difficult situation here. We had rain last year, which worked out well, but grew all this ground cover that is now incredibly dry. And we've got a difficult situation. Are we ready, in your view, for this season?
No, we're never ready.
Yeah.
The rural states are never ready for multiple reasons. One of the reasons is that the reason build the homes they build in Cloudcroft and Ruidoso and even in northern New Mexico is they want to be secluded. They want to be away.
That's right.
They don't want to cut down all the brush in front of their homes.
Well, they better learn how to, because that's part of keeping yourself safe.
I agree, but that's not what they want, right? People want those homes that you live in the city, you want to come out to a place that there's a million trees.
That's right.
You know, the last thing they want to do is cut down an acre of trees so they can get a view and protect the home, but they're going to have to.
Right.
We have yet to take maintaining the forest seriously, not only in New Mexico, but across this country. As you were alluding to, Gene, I've talked every year about when I grew up in Cloudcroft, there was no greater disparity than when you drove up to Ruidoso and you watched where the Mescalero Apaches managed their forest and the Lincoln National Forest was, and there was literally a visible line, no fence, where it was beautiful trees, nice green grass, and just crap. I mean, just underbrush and growth, and then the fires would come, and it would be amazing. They wouldn't burn down the Mescalero land. They could manage the fire. So we've got to figure out a way to get serious about how we're going to manage these fires. We got to realize also that part of the reason we're having these problems is because fires were a natural occurrence. There's a gentleman out of Ruidoso named Sid Goodlow who does a phenomenal picture study where he goes to his own family's ranch with pictures over 100 years ago and takes pictures of these areas in Ruidoso, and when you look at the picture 100 years ago, it's rolling grass. You look at it today, it's piñons and junipers as far as you can see. And the family talks about how every couple of years a fire would come through and burn all that scrub, and then the grass would grow. And since we're not managing the forests, they're full of disease, which lead to them being unbelievable tinderboxes. And we have a water problem. I mean, at some point, we're going to realize in a rural state with a water problem that preventive maintenance in the forests is much better than fighting fires.
Laura, I don't know how many years I've been hearing about this idea. We've got to get after ground fuel. We've just got to somehow get after this for a number of years in a row. It never really seems to happen because it costs money. Who's going to do this? Folks have proposed this to be a great, perhaps a prison program. I've heard all kinds of ideas about this. Is this something we should be concerned about to you, or is this something we just need to, on the back end, do better fighting once the fire starts?
No, I think there's a lot more preventive measures that can be taken. And when you go back and you tour any of these burn scars, I mean, it's just amazing the amount of destruction. And some of these areas still haven't recovered. I had an opportunity last August to go and tour the Wallow Fire burn scar down in southern New Mexico. It's in the Catron County area mostly. And it was, I mean, huge years later, and it's still, there's still areas that have not grown back. And I think there are measures that can be taken to prevent, and I think it's important to talk about that, not just at the at the state or federal level, but at the local level. It's good that cities like Santa Fe and others are taking the initiative to do this ahead of time, ahead of the season. But in particular, I lived in Arizona for many years, and they don't have the fireworks problem that we have here.
You just read my mind
it's
about
kind
fireworks.
Of interesting that we sort of allow it, and there's not really a lot of restrictions, and people set them off all the time, and it's right in the height of the fire danger season, and so it's just amazing that we don't do more to control
Our biggest urban fire late in the last few years on the Bosque was from fireworks. You would think, Andy, that this would be something we can get after, but it's a new conversation every season, it seems like. And I realize there are financial stakes for people that sell fireworks, but at some point we have to have clarity on this.
Yeah, I think it becomes sort of divisive. I mean, every year
Right.
people ask the governor, are you going to add state restrictions? And she says, no, I'm going to leave it up to individual counties or municipalities. And then even then, it's hard to, you can not sell it in Albuquerque, and then you don't have to go far to find them. And there's questions over, how much are you imposing restrictions on tribal lands?
That's right.
If
That's right.
they're making money off of it. So it's
Yeah.
a tough issue, but every year, I'm sure it's going to happen. We're going to hear about it in a couple of months over whether we should sell them or not.
No question about it. Mary, when you think about it, our correspondent, Laura Paskus, has done some great work. In fact, she did a special for us a little bit ago about how one clears one's property to basically keep your home from burning down. But like Dan says, there's a lot of resistance out there. Folks want to have a certain kind of a lifestyle. You have trees close at hand. I mean, is it worth it after a while? I can't judge. I've never lived like on South 14 where I have good friends that just don't want to do this. They don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this year the fear and the concern is pretty real.
Yeah.
I think maybe, not to make light of it, but people have enjoyed this nice, moderate winter. But I think that a lot of people have gone through it, especially living up in the mountains and the trees.
That's right.
Knowing that this sort of warmth and lack of snowfall
That's right.
and incredible drought that we have kind of fallen back into is definitely stoking fears.
The idea, Dan, we're going to finish up with you, that my biggest fear is the controlled fire that gets out of control. We've had a number of those over the years here as well, where we have a certain area we want to burn to clear away stuff that we've been talking about, ground cover and all that kind of thing. And just the winds pick up and we got a big old problem. It really is an issue here.
Yeah, I mean, in a state like New Mexico, it's very difficult, in my opinion, to have a controlled burn. I mean, you're really, introducing an unbelievable contaminant into the environment and saying we hope that the weather and everything plays along with us, and if it doesn't, we're screwed.
That's right.
I think that we could be doing more summer projects, working with prisoners. And there's some more for-profit stuff. I mean, we're allowing these forests to deteriorate when we should be allowing them to do legitimate logging industries, legitimate extractive industries, without destroying the environment, without tearing things up. I'm not talking about strip mining. There's just things that they should be doing and working on getting done. More permits for cutting wood just from locals. It's difficult for a lot of people just to go up and cut a cord of wood on their own.
That's right. Fire breaks.
They've got to get more of this stuff done. We've got to take a different attitude, because the weather's not going to get better, and with the lawsuit we've talked about a few weeks ago with the water stuff in the Rio Grande in New Mexico with the feds, they're going to take whatever water we have anyway from us.
That's right.
So we've got to get serious about addressing this, because you just can't sit around and wait. No one wants to talk about it until it's a 3-week story that 200 homes are burned and 10,000 acres are burned. Yes, it costs money, but the aftermath of these fires is devastating.
That's a good point. Now, that's all the time we have for this week.